Okay, well, in this particular video, we are still working on this Redcat RS10, and I'm going to show you how to build a homemade lockout for the rear end. That way you can eliminate your rear steering if you choose not to have it, which I've done it on one other vehicle, but I've done a little bit different deal. This one here, I'm going to show you how to do it with some copper tubing. If I recall, this is 1/2 inch copper tubing. It works pretty good. Pretty sure it's 1/2 inch. Let's double check here. Yeah. So you got 1/2 inch copper tubing, which will work for this. And we have to cut this dimension, which let me show you here. I've already completed one side. So this dimension from against the plastic housing here of your rear axle right up to your hub here, you're looking at 7/16 is the dimension. Now let me explain to you how tricky this truly is. Okay, once you get this cut and you put it in, it's not just simply put it in, screw everything together, you're locked out. It takes a little finagling, because you got to figure when they manufacture these, well, basically when they, pour the plastic in the molds or whatever, the screw holes line up and stuff, but there's a little unevenness with the way everything kind of lines up. So basically, if you look at this side here, look at this side, you can see I've removed all the little ears there, basically your stop points when you're turning. You can see how they are on the front a little bit. Okay, so we have to remove all these ears off of here, or tabs, whatever you want to call them. You have to remove these, and then it takes a bit of finesse and patience with a razor knife to trim that nice and flush, because you'll get that tubing in there and it won't sit right, and you want it to sit as flush as possible. That way, as you can see here, let me get a good show. This thing isn't going to move. Yes, we could remove this tab here, or we could take it and turn it around on the inside so it's not there. I'm going to leave it, because if for some reason I break one on the front, I could turn around, pull this off, put it on the front, and then put the broken one on the rear. No biggie. So I'm just going to choose to leave this on here for the purposes of, if I need it, I could still use it down the road. So we're not going to cut this part off, but we did remove, like I said, you can see that the little tabs, I've removed them, your stop points, because if you look at this here, as it pivots, you can see how it stops. It only allows it to pivot so far. Okay, so we're going to remove those, and then we have to slowly shave that down to make that 7/16 inch copper tubing fit that nice and snug. And I do compress this just a little bit to bend it in, so that way when I put my screws back in, they've got a little bit of play in there, and that will lock it up nice and tight. And so this rear end will not pivot around at all. So, but we'll show you how to get this put together and trim this up and cut it and make it work. So let's get this going. Okay, so we've got our copper tubing here. We're going to make a mark. I'm just using a little fine point Sharpie marker to make my mark. 7/16. Okay, well, I had a little video malfunction, so when I got this all put back together with the lockout installed, I didn't realize my video cut out. So just real quick to kind of recap, basically we got that copper tubing put in there. I did show you that, and we compressed that just a little bit to make it so it fits nice and even. So basically it kind of creates an oval shape, and then you get it put in there, and the trick is, because it's a tight fit, okay, and you got to make sure there's no wobble when you put that copper tube in. So once you get that put in, you go ahead and you compress put in the bottom screw first, and then you put in the top screw by pulling it over, and kind of you pull it really snug just to get it in there to get it started. But once you get it in, you're set. And the reason we left the arms on there was just because, you know, if something happens to break up front, well, I could take one of the front ones and put it on the rear and we'll be set. So figured there was no point of cutting those off right at the moment. I don't see them being an issue driving. Wasn't when you had rear steering anyways. And we did get the rear servo and servo mount removed, and when we went ahead and we put the screws back in the holes, because otherwise it leaves a void where material, you know, rock, sand, whatever can get down in there. And since I do have the axles greased fully, it just is another way for that kind of stuff to attract to it. So anyways, that's to go ahead and recap on getting your homemade rear lockouts made for your Redcat RS10. So hopefully this little video will help you out, and you'll be able to do the same if you want to lock out your rear on your Redcat RS10. So make sure to subscribe and keep following along with this build, and we'll continue it as we keep going. Thank you.